You talk about it that hair day.
Travis, the precursor is please make 2 or 3 reels for Catherine because she does want to use these and promote. And Travis, as mentioned, definitely not my face, just Catherine's. So, okay, and then here's the pause. Hello, and welcome to Just Figure It Out, a podcast to inspire and encourage our listeners to pursue their goals. This will be done by sharing stories and experiences from guests about how they made definite goals, how they failed and succeeded, but never gave up. In essence, how they just figured it out. My name is Jen McAllister, the host, also the owner of Rise CPA and Accountants. Today, I'm really excited to introduce you to Catherine Jansen. She's the owner of Bracashirts, and she'll tell you a little bit more about those in a minute, and also a cancer coach. Catherine wears a lot of different hats, and as we begin speaking and chatting, she'll tell you more about that. So, Catherine, again, welcome. Really glad to have you here from Canada, right?
Yes, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Jen. I'm thrilled.
Yes, me too. So, tell me a little bit about Bracashirts. That's the business that you own. Give me a little bit of history and how you developed this company and why, the passion behind it.
Well, thank you. Yes, Bracashirts I designed specifically for women who have breast cancer and they have post-surgical drains. And I am a breast cancer survivor, a registered nurse. I worked in intensive care for 25 years and taught and director, manager, etc. And when I got breast cancer, I struggled to manage my post-surgical drains. I'm a nurse. So if I'm struggling, what is the public experiencing? And so I really went and designed these specialty shirts, and I was selling them to the hospital gift shops for the patients. And actually, I have a specially designed hospital gown too, that has a little more dignity involved in protecting us.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but you know what? COVID came along,
Mhm.
and
Big
they
thumbs
closed
down.
hospitals. Yeah, there were no gift shops, but you know what? It was the best thing that ever happened because people started calling me because they knew I was a registered nurse, and they were being rushed through the system, right? And they were so uncomfortable, and they had so many questions, and they were unfulfilled, and were feeling insecure with everything that was happening in their experiences with cancer. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. So I went and became certified as a cancer coach with beatcancer.org. And I actually do a podcast every Thursday night on Beat Cancer Answers with them. And I help co-host. But the nice thing is that I totally changed my whole business. Like it morphed from shirts into coaching and public speaking. And it's gone on from there. And I never expected that it would take that turn. But
Isn't that a beautiful thing where you've got a goal in mind and you're working toward it, and that there's a nice balance between being really focused on what you want and not giving up, and then the balance is also recognizing when there is an additional opportunity or a pivot that should be taken advantage of, and you just can't see those things in the beginning, and when you're open to those changes, that's the beauty.
And that's the thing, is not to have those blinders on and to be open to change
Mm-hmm.
and to feel comfortable in your own skin and know, yeah, this is the way, this is the avenue. And I'm good at teaching. I'm good
Yes.
at health teaching. I can do this.
Yes.
And
And again,
and
it's so different than it's not giving up. It is not saying, this
no,
isn't for me. It's bigger. It's a positive direction. It's pivoting, and and acknowledging new opportunities that are meant for you. And that's beautiful that you recognize this opportunity. So yeah, tell us more about that.
well, I think what's really neat is that I started with just helping patients on a one-to-one basis. But oh my God, it became voluminous. So I designed a PowerPoint presentations because I also have a degree in IT as well as nursing. And I designed 8 cancer care series, healthy food choices, immunology and stress, your microbiome, things about psychology of cancer, body, mind, spirit, this, I have tons of them, actually. Any topic I can speak to, I feel pretty comfortable with. The
Yes.
nice thing is that's my cart, okay? But you know what? There's a horse that pulls that cart. And you need to know what's in your cart, my shirts, my education series, my my coaching, but that it's that horse. And that is what's going to pull your business. And being aware of what you need to do, because it's that horse, like using, I'm writing a book. I started doing my own educational podcasts, and people can go to my site and listen to it. I'm doing things like these podcasts with multiple people from need a guest or whatever company it's from, and I am loving just helping other people learn not only about cancer, but how to do the business side of it too,
Yes.
for other cancer coaches.
So I can't stop thinking about that illustration that you just gave. You know, you've got your cart and you've got your things in your cart, but you've got that horse that pulls it. And so that makes me just reflect. And to me, the horse is the why and the passion. I mean, that's where the power comes from. And the power needs to come from deep within to have the energy and the momentum to pull whatever's in the cart. And some things can be thrown out of the cart, some things can be added, but the deep genuine reasons and the why that you exist as an individual unique person, that's your horse. That is brilliant. I absolutely love that. I've never thought about that before.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we have to understand and believe in what we're doing. In order to achieve, you have to believe. Well,
Mhm.
you know what? No, you have to believe it in order to achieve it.
Yes.
And it's just that extra play there. It's belief in yourself, in your brand, and what you're doing, and have a plan where you want to go, but know that there are diverging ways to get there. It's just
Yes.
not, it's just not cut and dry, right? It's not linear. It's it's multifold.
Yes. And you
And
say we have to believe in ourselves first, and I absolutely agree. I think one of the hardest things is going from, I don't believe in myself to I do believe in myself, and how do you bridge that gap? What would you say one of the first steps to working towards the I do believe in myself?
well, the first thing is ignoring all the people that are putting you down, people that are, I guess you could say, that are negative, people that are sabotaging what you're doing.
Yes. And I think the
And
important part is
and
to, sorry, go ahead.
family, family,
Yeah.
friends, they're saying, Catherine, what are you doing? It's, the cancer market's saturated. My comeback is it's saturated because the need for teaching and the need for products and the need for education is there.
Yes.
And people, and I said, back when I started nursing, cancer was 1 in 20. Now it's 1 in 5. There's an ever-present need for their help, for everyone to get more information. Knowledge is power.
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that I would say is, are there many other things out there like yours? Probably, but there is nobody like you. And that's the key. And that's the key for people believing in themselves is whenever you think, oh, it's already out there. Well, again, there is nobody else like you out there. And that's maybe one of the steps in believing in yourself is recognizing the uniqueness. And the other thing that I'm going to add to what you said, reinforce that is recognize the people who are sabotaging your ideas, because a lot of times we don't even recognize that. We're just so used to listening to the friends and family, but once we kind of in essence step away from ourselves and see things from maybe an outside perspective, where we recognize, oh, these people are saying this, and you make that conscious decision, I'm not going to listen to that anymore. So just awareness.
It's a total awareness of, but you have to know what your why is.
Yes.
And like for me, it's okay, this wasn't a get rich quick scheme for me. Okay. Whereas they think, oh, you're doing this to make the money. And I'm going, no, I'm doing this to give back.
Uh-huh.
There's a difference.
Yes.
And if I make some money along the way, how wonderful is that? Now, yes, I have 1,000 shirts I need to get rid of, but you know what? The beauty of being able to help people with cancer is wonderful. And what is morphed even out of helping people with cancer is with my education series, I started going outside of that. And I started just talking to, I decided that cancer's the cart and the horse is prevention.
Mm.
How do we prevent cancer? And so I started speaking on cancer awareness and immunology and stress and healthy food choice and how to adopt your lifestyle so to help reduce your risks. And if you do have cancer, how do you prevent recurrence?
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt those were key concepts in my business. So I took that and started teaching with and going to small groups like Lions, Rotary, professional women's groups, service groups in the communities. And then I thought, I'm okay with this now. And I'm getting, when people are nodding in the audience and you get that
Yes.
energy feedback, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I just said, I can do this. And you
Yes.
know what? I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. I know I can because I already talk.
Yes.
And I feel comfortable doing so.
Yeah.
And I'm educating because as a nurse educator, I was comfortable with it. But all of a sudden, your confidence builds. And you know what? And I used that as a motivation to build the knowledge I needed for the marketing side and to build that knowledge and feed it so that I was feeling good online and with what I was doing myself because it fed my why.
Yes. One thing that I love is you started and then you got better and you learned more and you learned more. And the reason I think that's so important is many people don't start the thing because they feel like they need to be excellent at it first. And that's such a mistake. You've got to start to be great. You don't have to be great to start.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, when I first started doing these podcasts, I'm looking at that little light, that's on my computer. I was like, what?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
not comfortable with that at all. Let's
Right.
be honest.
Yeah. And then you grow in areas of being uncomfortable. And that's the
Yeah,
beauty. You get used to it. Maybe you're not always entirely comfortable, but that's where you grow.
but the thing is that it's not about that. It's about trying to get the listener to understand what it is you're saying in the messaging and them saying, she's dead on. And them understanding that, hey, I can take that information and use it myself. And that's so empowering. It
Yes.
really is.
There's such a big gap between what the medical world will provide and what someone actually needs with cancer specifically. And what I love is that here you are filling in that gap, and it's just so sad for all of those that don't know that they have these resources to be able to be educated and supported and encouraged, because that's not the job of the medical provider. And nothing against medical providers, we are so grateful for them, but they can't do everything. And then here comes you, and that's so beautiful and so thankful for you and what you have to offer.
But that is really what the definition of a cancer coach is, because they are there supporting the patient because they're supposed to be patient-centric care in the hospital. The thing is that they're so rushed through now and no one has time anymore just to do basic health teaching. And what I'm finding with cancer patients is that they go through and they have chemo and radiation and they ring the bell, they're done, and then they go with the community, there's nothing.
Yeah. Like it never
And
happened.
yeah, and that's where I say hello.
Yes.
But the problem with saying hello is that they are sick. Their immune system is depleted, and they have so much to learn to make change in their life so that they don't have cancer again. And
Yes.
so this is where I can feel comfortable working with them, educating them, educate to advocate. And I really think this needs to be in the beginning, not just after they ring that bell. It's
Mm.
complementary care. bringing in added resources that will support the client. So if they're having nausea and vomiting, I can say, well, let's look at just doing some juicing, or let's look at different modalities to keep you nutritively strong. And you're going to have better uptake of your chemo and radiation, but at the same time, you're not depleting your good cancer cell, your good cells. You're letting the cancer material do its job. But we have a job to keep you healthy as well. And so
Yes.
let them focus on their definition of health and wellness and what they need to do to feel good about who they are and where they're going to go now and then during their cancer care. Or for a family that's, if you have a family, you don't want them getting cancer. So let's start now and plan on prevention and what we can do, because it's not just you, it's everybody.
Yes.
And let's work together, because when we can support everybody, it helps the patient, that stress come down. They feel that someone's got them in their hands, right?
Yes.
And will catch them. And that's what a cancer coach does. They're there. They're there.
Yeah.
And yet we're not utilized, because the hospital is saying, no, you don't need that. Just
Right.
do what you have
Because
to.
because it's focused on just physical and even just more medicinal rather than other holistic ways to feed the body, but the mind. I mean, the mind is huge. And I know that you talk about that. And if you don't mind, I love this part from your website. I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to ask you after that, just what are your favorite topics to talk about? Because we could talk for hours, and unfortunately, we just have a little snippet, just the tip of the iceberg. But I do love this. The 5C mantras: have the courage to take a chance, to make a choice, and commit to healthy lifestyle changes. I love that so much. So if you could, this is unfair to say if you could pick a favorite. So I'm not even going to say pick a favorite, but would you grace us with one of the topics that you love to talk about and give us a little more insight?
Sure. I think, to me, people are afraid to embrace change. And it's understood. But one of the things I absolutely love to talk about is immunology and stress in our nervous system. When you are stressed, what is actually happening in your body? Well, just think, if there's a bear chasing you, what happens? Your eyes dilate so you can see where you're going. Your heart rate increases, your breathing airspaces increase, and then all the blood rushes to your legs so you can exit stage left.
Yeah.
But all that is, everything is all the circulation goes to the vital organs. But your gut, your abdomen, it's what loses. Okay. Now you're thinking, well, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal, because when we're under stress, and let's face it, today it's chronic stress. Everyday stress is stress enough. And so what's happening is that we are not really paying attention to our abdomen because of our diet, number one. And the World Health Organization and the American Cancer Society and the Canadian Cancer Society, whether it be breast, abdominal cancer, whatever cancer, we do know that our diet and our lifestyles are the number one cause of 80% or more of our health problems today. And that's true. And so I love to talk about stress and how to de-stress, because you want to take immunologically and neurologically what we can do to make that stress go away and just live our lives. Okay.
Great. Let's keep talking about this. So for one, from my perspective, which I assume is like many, maybe the majority, is I would typically think, oh, stress equals my brain it's affecting my brain. Like, oh, my brain is so stressed out. The end. And that's where it ends. And I know this not to be true. Just to echo what you said, it affects all the parts of the body. And earlier on we talked about awareness in a different aspect, but I think we could now apply it to stress specifically. First of all, be aware of what stress really does affect, that it's so much more than just like, oh, I'm thinking like, oh, I'm stressed. So tell us some tips and tricks on how to lower stress, because it's one thing to say I don't want to be stressed, and also to blame stress on outside things without recognizing that we have the ability to control the way that we respond to outside influences. So, and I've said a lot of things, so let me get back to the simple question, which is, what are some tools and ways that we all, the listeners, could start to reduce our stress?
Okay, first of all, our body and mind and spirit is not linear. It's
Mhm.
actually body, mind, spirit, and it's like a triangle. And if you just take the tips of the triangle and just only implement it, each little piece, well, then you've got this great big hole in the middle, right there, okay, that void. And it's about closing that gap that you're talking about. And that gap is, what can we do with our bodies? What are we doing? Well, what can we do to improve our body? Well, number one, we need to look at what we're feeding ourselves. When we're stressed and we're running our kids over hell and tarnation today, and you're not um, taking the time to sit down and eat a good, healthy meal. You're going to McDonald's, Wendy's, fish and chips, pizza, and you're feeding your gut really bad food, not to mention preservatives. So it's, cutting the crap, like the carbonated drinks, the sugars, the alternate foods, which are, cookies and donuts and chips and crap. And then any processed food. We need to get back to the basics of eating, sitting at the table, talking at the table, family that eats together and plays together and shares together and eats together, stays together. And so
Yes.
we can picture family dynamics. That's important.
So I'm going to
But
be the
more than
devil's
that,
advocate, and I'm going to jump in and say, but I don't have time. I don't have time to make a healthy meal. You don't understand my lifestyle. It's different. I don't have the time. Okay, number one. So what would you say to somebody like that?
if you're not working on the weekends, find your couple of days off and make 2 or 3 meals in advance. And then all you have to do is pop them in the oven, not the microwave, because it denatures your proteins and all your vegetables. So it's not just what you're eating, it's how you're preparing your food too.
Hmm.
So I know there's little things. It's so easy to just throw everything in the microwave.
Mhm.
It really
Yeah.
is.
And I'm going to say now I'm taking the other side of it, and I'm answering my own question, which would be, what are your priorities? You say you don't have time, but if you prioritize your health, which affects everything else, then you'll find the way to make the time. Would it be difficult? Yes. Does it mean that you're going to change your lifestyle? Yes. But is it important enough to you? And that also really just circles back to just figure it out. I talk about, you've got to want it definitely. You don't just like, oh, yeah, it would be nice if I could eat healthier, if I could make healthier food, but it has to be a definite desire. I am going to make healthier food and eat healthier food. And then when it's very clear, and clear is so key and definite,
Yeah.
then you go, okay, so how am I going to figure this out? And then, as you said, Catherine, one idea is use the weekends, make healthy food, freeze it. But there are a number of ways that you could do it. You just have to decide first.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you said that you have to decide. You have to take the time. Okay, so you take the chance and make the choice and have the courage to take the chance and make those choices and commit to those changes. And those changes are your nutrition, exercise, hydrating properly, sleep, getting balance, and managing your stress. That's your body. But you also have choices. Just like you choose to love, you choose to change. It's the same principle. It's a decision. And you need to feel good with the decisions that you make and that they're right for you. I can't tell you, oh, do this or do that. You have to intrinsically know. And even with my cancer patients, I send them to reliable sources to look at different options. And what do you feel is right for you? I
Mhm.
don't tell them what to do. They have to know, hey, this sounds like something I want to try.
Mhm. Yeah, because everyone's different.
And there isn't one solution. There's 6 million different things you can do. And what resonates with them? And it's the same thing with your business. What resonates with you and what you're doing and how you're going to market or how you're going to present yourself or what you're going to teach, whatever. Feel good about what you do because this is your mind side now, okay? Because it's about being mindful in your business. It's self-affirmation. I can do this. Hey, I've got the keys and the tools to help people move forward. And these are the kind of things that you feed yourself that confidence so that it's not only how you manage patients, but it's how I have to manage my business too. And just I want them to cultivate a sense of well-being and their own definition of wellness, not what the doctors say wellness is or
Mhm.
health. It's who you are. Because look at Michael J. Fox. I mean, he's in a wheelchair, and he's having debilitating issues. But I'm sure he has his idea of what health is for him and when he feels good and when he doesn't. So he knows and he can listen to his body and feel good about it. So
Yeah.
that was just an example. But
Yeah.
this is your mind is about feeling comfortable with everything you're doing. And on a health wellness continuum is knowing that precipice, that balance that has to be present in your life. Because when you look at your body and your mind and feeling good about what you're doing and who you are, then spiritually you can open yourself up. And because that spirit is about trusting your inner self and your intuition and just, I don't know, your sense of purpose and even meaning. Because when it comes down to life, it's about learning to live your life or love the life you're leading or living and learning. And I think that's empowering because that's what gives you peace of mind. That's when you start to educate yourself, that knowledge is power, and you can be confident to ask questions. You can feel in control. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if that's your health or your business or what you're doing in life. It applies across the board always. It's
Yes.
universal in everything you do.
And that word in control, you're in control of how you're processing and you're thinking, because we all know that we don't have control over the outside things that are happening, but we have complete control over how we react and process the things that are happening to us.
Yes, absolutely. And you
Catherine,
know what?
oh, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, we're running out of time, so pause right there and cut that. So, Catherine, please tell the listeners how they can connect with you, why they would connect with you, and how they can find you.
My name is Catherine Jansen, Janssen, and people can find me at Bracashirts. And by the way, BRCA is BRCA. It's the BRCA gene that causes breast cancer.
Oh,
And okay, but I extended it and made it BRCA,
uh-huh.
BRACA. So BRCA, and then the word shirts, plural, bracashirts.ca. So www.bracashirts.ca, or you can email me at Catherine@bracashirts.ca. And you just have to know that my name is spelled unusual, but I own the whole bracashirts.ca platform. So no matter how you spell it,
Yeah, and I'll
I
spell it
will get it,
out.
my husband will.
Yeah, I'll spell it out on the name of the podcast as well, so the spelling will be there for the listeners.
Perfect. And you can also find me on beatcancer.org because beatcancer.org is where I got myself certified as a cancer coach. And they often, you can find me under Find a Coach. And also, you can look on my YouTube channel, which is, whoa, uh, what's my YouTube channel?
It's okay.
Cancer Care Roundup with Bracashirts. And you have to look up because Roundup, then you start getting all the lawns care. But it's Cancer Care Roundup with Bracashirts. But most certainly, if you just, I'm trying to think of how else
No,
by all means,
that's plenty.
I can leave you with my number and people can call me as well, but preferably email because I struggle. My phone is constantly ringing. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's by all means, I'm delighted to hear from people. What I'd like to do is hear from corporations where I can maybe do some educational workshops or just do lunch and learns or work when they have a conference to have me speak. Because when they can pay me to do that, then I can do my cancer teaching for free.
Oh, that's beautiful.
with the client. So they win because their employees will be strong and will be able to institute what I play or what I suggest in their workshops. And also at the same time, the cancer patients win because I can then help them for the lowest cost possible. And many, like right now, I'm helping people in the Bronx, for free because
Yeah.
they can't afford it. And that's beautiful because I get the chance to give back there too. So I
Yes.
get to do teaching and healing.
Oh,
And
that's
isn't
beautiful.
that beautiful?
It is. Thank you so much for sharing your talent with everyone and with me today on this podcast. I really appreciate your time.
Jen, thank you so much for having me. I wish you the best in your podcasting world, and you're doing so much good for other businesses, but for people who are listening online about how to take control and how they can confidently manage their lives.
Thank you
And it,
so, so much. I appreciate that compliment. And with that, we'll wrap it up. This is Jen McAllister, the owner of Rise CPA, also the host of Just Figure It Out. Until next time, friends.